Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be tackling some Valheim beginner tips. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. As you may very well know, in Valheim you can chop down trees, and when they fall they may damage things. But did you know that once the logs have fallen, you can run into them pushing them around? And even push them downhill sometimes, so if they keep rolling into smaller branches and bushes they can break them. Also making the log take damage itself, making it easier for you to break it. Also be careful when trees fall, because this damage can also include damaging yourself. In case you are unaware as well, you can chop into the stumps that are left behind after you chop down trees, which can be little pesky beggars in the way of your landscape. If multiple things are also within your swing radius, you can damage all of them at the same time, making for some quicker and more efficient chopping. When it comes to building a workbench and you are required to build a roof above it to actually use it, don't worry too much about building a house around it. You can just do a simple setup of 2 wood walls at the back and 2 roofs on top of that, allowing you to use full functionality of the workbench without building too much around it. Speaking of the workbench, this little icon on the side here, when you click it, it will repair your tools, and don't worry, this doesn't cost anything, which is quite crazy to be honest that you can repair things for free, but there you are. This white line you can see represents the distance that you can build within your workbench, but don't worry too much about that, as you're allowed to build as many workbenches as you want as long as they're on a flat ground, allowing you to expand your base exponentially. Going to sleep requires a roof over the bed and also a fire, but I'd caution against building a fire indoors, as over time this will cause smoke to fill up the room and eventually lead to your death by asphyxiation. One way around this is to build some form of fireplace. You have to place your campfire on the ground on the outside and build wood walls around it, because the fire cannot be placed on wooden flooring. Sort of similar to how I've done here. You can also get away with putting the fire on the outside of the house next to where your bed is. Now with a fire, workbench and a roof setup, you can go to sleep with ease. Setting a cooking rack over your fire and placing the food on allows you to get cooked meat, which is a great food source. If you wait 30 seconds, you will hear a sizzle sound showing that it has been cooked, and you can take it off. But if you end up waiting double the time, it will double the cook and eventually burn it and turn it into coal. If you ever thought it was a good idea to go for a long run and then go for a swim straight after, with your stamina depleted, it will deal damage to you over the time during your swim. So it's probably best just to hop out of the water, wait for that stamina to recharge, and jump back in for a nice leisurely swim without the suffocation. Sneaking is very valuable also in Valheim, as it allows you to sneak up on animals and creatures without being seen, also allowing for more higher damage hits and insta-kills on boars. However, bear in mind that sneaking will use up your stamina, so be careful when you run low. It will bring you out of sneak, and if you're moving around, the creature will spot you. The little yellow lines that kind of look like a fly above its head show that it's on alert, and when you get spotted by a creature, it will turn red. If you get the hit in quick enough, you'll be fine. Now for a tip that most people will probably pick up on, but will still be worth mentioning. Your stamina. When you eat some food, and it will increase your overall health bar, this also increases your max stamina, allowing you to run, jump and chop trees down for longer. It's also a good idea if doing things like sneaking or swimming as previously mentioned, and of course fighting. A tip for fighting these grayling creatures: if you bring out a torch, they are scared of it, and it will also set them on fire, allowing you to be able to retreat if needs be, or use it as an extra damage tick over time, and allowing you to swap to another weapon to continue damaging them. Either that, or just keep out the torch and continuously beat on the grayling over time. Structural integrity is also something to look out for in Valheim, as the green objects are somewhat secure, blue is secure to the ground, and eventually, as things are built further and further away from secure objects, they go from green to orange to eventually red. Now this is definitely something to look out for, because if you build too far over, it will cause the parts you build to collapse. You can get around this by building in supports at certain positions, and just make sure to check your structure. If it's all turned green, all is good. Now for another tip that seems fairly simple, but me and people I've spoken to didn't realise it until later in, is the scroll wheel. Will allow you to zoom in and out from your character, giving you a closer view or large view depending on what you prefer. Also, clicking Ctrl F3 allows the HUD to disappear, and if you're zoomed in far enough whilst crouching, you can get some nice cinematic shots. Last tip is a storage tip. So if you place chests down and find out you're unable to stack them on top of each other, using one of these little shelf walls and putting it on top of where your chest is will allow you to put a chest on that wall, and if you break the wall in the middle, it will look like you have some nice stacked chests, allowing for some neater storage. For the final tip, it's probably the biggest and most important tip in the entire game, but whilst I was streaming yesterday, I found out that flying in on the bird and holding shift will cause your sprint to go up a level. Of course, this isn't an important tip, but I just thought it was a funny one, and it'll probably get patched out eventually. So that wraps up the video, and I'd like to say thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you'd like more Valheim tips in the future. I pretty much only covered Don't Starve before, but the game feels familiar enough to that sort of a genre. And be sure to tune into my Twitch streams if you want to see me playing the game. And that's it from me, guys, so have fun with the game, and I will speak to you all next time.